and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 714, he said, looking at Kevin. 715?
You got it. First try.
Oh, yeah.
Edit.
Thanks to
You
editing.
can't tell when we edit anymore. 'cause
That's true.
He'll fix all the editing.
You can't notice
He
the
can just-
weird
the jump-
break
Yeah.
in the video.
It's like, man, every time I edit now, I'm like, man, this is a lot trickier with editing.
So, I don't know if I already...
Had I known that last week's episode was going to be on the main feed,
You would have worn
I would have.
pants and a shirt.
I would have not cussed as much. So sorry.
Oh. I know. I was liberally using
when we
words.
realized that was going to happen, I was like, oh no,
Poor Kevin.
poor Kevin.
Nah, we don't care. Let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
This is Joe.
This is Kevin.
And this is Tom, and joining us this week once again from the Patreon. What's your...
Oh, I thought you were going to say my name.
I was
going to
say it, but I
would
can't
be like,
remember
you're
it.
right, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might know me from the last episode where my hair looks real bad. Because I thought, just me and Joe, it's fine. Who's going to see it? Who's going to see it?
Oh,
You got called up to the big
everyone.
leagues.
Right. You took over the main feed last week.
That's right.
And you'll have a Patreon episode coming out this week. So this will be 3 episodes in a row featuring Matt.
What's it feel like to finally be on a show that hit Tripped Edge?
Well, I tell you what, this was my plan all along.
You're like, I'll reach out to the clip out.
Yes. This is how I'll infiltrate a successful podcast. Well, successful.
Yeah.
More successful than mine.
And it just keeps creeping up. He was on like a month ago. Now he's on 3 times in a week. And it's
Yeah.
like all of a sudden he's just going to start showing up. That's how it happens.
That's
Like
how it
herpes.
happens. That's right. That's how I got here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Herpes?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Herpes the love bug. So before we dig into the movie, I never said the name of...
That's
a
some kind of
t-shirt.
bug.
That's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Trademark Real Spoilers. If you say it, that trademarks it, right?
That's,
I
the way
think
that
That's
works.
what we've been
That's what we've been doing.
Yes.
Put the episode on a tape, mail it to yourself.
Is that how it works? If you
That's-
postmark
yeah,
it? That,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I never said the name of the movie.
By all means.
Yeah. Weird. The Alfred Yankovic story.
There you go. It's pretty.
So I said
that's-
so shameless plugs before we dig in. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast.
Do you think anyone
you
ever
can find us.
forgets?
I don't know, but they.
I mean, do you think that
All-
you just reminded someone?
I don't know. All the
I
things
wonder.
say you're supposed to do this.
That's
Yeah.
everything I've read
I
is what it's.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just was wondering if someone's like,
like-
oh, that's right.
I know.
I've
I
been
know. I
listening
always
to this
wanted
on-
to because I'm like they're already here.
Yeah, right.
Here's the thing. In the words of Stanley, every podcast is somebody's first podcast.
Yeah.
That's true.
There you go. So say it every time.
But to Matt's point, how are they listening?
Where are they at?
I just want to know the place they're listening that isn't one of those places.
well, maybe now
I
it's
think they just-
maybe now it's YouTube.
They just play us over
Yeah.
the speaker and Dillard's. I
right?
think.
Because that's what I mean. If
Oh,
you're on the
sure.
radio or something, okay, well, that makes sense.
Can we
Pick it
get
up
that to happen?
Why?
at Dillard's? Probably.
That's fair.
I don't think that would be very on demo for us anyway.
don't think so?
No.
You get us played in I don't know Spencer's.
Yeah, that would make.
If we start
sense.
doing some Columbo movies for the Misbegotten sequel series or
I
something.
would love to do that.
I'd be down for
yeah,
some Columbo,
let's
yeah.
do it.
So where was I? Oh yeah, all the places you can find us. You should follow us while you're there, so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave a review. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, the group is called the League of Show Sharers because we're hoping you'll share an episode. People who were kind enough to share an episode the last 2 weeks,
Ooh.
either or, not both.
Yeah, Matt and Joe didn't read the show shares.
Yeah.
It's pretty messed up.
Never will.
Yep.
Dissect That Film, Chris Valls, Gabriel Lugo, Julianne Jordan, Christopher Rex, Tammy Lynn Powers, Betts, Heather Sachs, Librarian Cynthia, Ralph Tribble, Lane Levanway, Josh Rosen, Travis Tewitt, Chris, Magic Man, Glenn Cougar Mellenbrewer, Chris Sanders, Ken Holtzhauers, Edit Photo Gamer, Collateral Cinema, David Rojas, Mike, and Oscar, Chris Williams, Minorities Report, Matt Naglia, Invasion of the Remake, Vertigay 314, Geek to Me Radio, Ronnie Castle, In Session Film, Colby Mack, Nostalgia Cast, Ryan Terry from the Forza Crowd podcast, and Feelin' Film. So thank you very much.
Now, wait a minute. I shared the show, and I wasn't on it last week.
I didn't see a post for the show to get shared.
Oh, what?
What? No, there was
Oh, for sure.
For last
For
week,
sure.
yeah.
For Hellraiser? Or, yeah.
Hellraiser.
Oh, okay.
I sure.
Brackett.
Thank
Kevin
you.
Brackett.
Thank you. I'm just saying, I wasn't on the show last week. It rarely happens, and I sure did share it. Thank you.
Kevin Brackett.
So there's all that. And finally, don't forget we have a Patreon. So the good news is you get all sorts of bonus content. The bad news is a lot of it contains Matt F. Basler.
Yeah, and I also just joined the Patreon. I just signed up for the Patreon.
I still haven't.
And I've been on every episode, I think, since I did that.
So you
you
can
go.
finally listen to it.
Oh, I was like, oh, I like these guys. I listen to the main. Maybe
It's you and me.
I know. I was there. It's like maybe there's
You
some cool
forgot.
stuff there, but you can go back. You can. You can
There's
listen to
some
old stuff, so.
wacky stuff if you
I-
keep going back.
And
in
I will
that- in
tell
that
you,
Patreon.
I have actually for years now, and I'm not kidding. I have been looking for a very, very special recording that I have not been able to find. But when I do, it will end up on that Patreon.
Is it what I think it is?
It is the test pilot for Real Spoilers
Oh.
that you weren't there for.
I wasn't there for.
Me and Tom recorded a dollar store movie that we found because our original idea before Real Spoilers was to do dollar store movies.
We were going to do
Bad.
we were going to do a thing where we would be only movies that you would find on DVD at the dollar
And
store.
now
Like a
dollar
Walgreens
store
or whatever?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
like
nice.
deals or whatever.
Yeah.
But now the dollar store sells like Blu-rays and like legit movies. But
Right.
back then it
Yeah.
was like those really thin ones
Yeah,
that were
yeah.
printed on like
Where you're
someone's
just
Canon
like-
printer. And,
You're just like, how did this movie
and
come
sometimes
into
like Bing Crosby's in it. Like it just makes
That's hilarious.
there's-
Yeah.
There's just one bin full of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
mean,
it
yeah,
is.
like that was almost always mixed in because it's in the public domain, so
Right.
anybody can put it out there. But yeah, but sometimes there'd be movies with like pretty big name actors.
And you'd be like, when did they do that?
Yeah.
And no one's ever heard of it. But I couldn't even tell you what we recorded. But we did some podcast, and it was recorded on some old computer. And then
I remember talking about it. I honestly don't remember ever recording it.
Yeah, no. I remember it was back when I lived in the last place, which is over 10 years ago, and we just were like, we're going to do a podcast. And we tried it out, and I don't know, we didn't go with that idea, but that recording is somewhere on a hard drive. And
Do you know
I-
there's like 4 of ours, right? That we did. Like 2 guys, 1 remote.
Well, we released those. That was on the Review
Oh, did we?
STL podcast.
Oh,
or
okay,
something.
okay,
Like,
okay.
that was its own feed. We did release those.
See, again. 10
But
years
anyway,
ago.
but if we found the really old stuff, like that's the kind of thing I would love to put on the Patreon. Stuff people have never even heard before. So I'm looking for it. Just know that may be on
That's
the way.
funny. That's funny. Hey, man,
And
if I can not have to do it for a Friday, that'd be
Yeah.
all right.
And it's only $5 a month.
That's right.
So
There you go.
There you go. So there's all that. Let's dig into weird.
If there was ever a biopic, like the way that this is structured is about as Weird Al as you can get.
For
and I
sure.
mean that in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Because it's, I think
This movie was great.
this is fantastic.
Yeah,
I thought
so
I
much fun.
could not believe how much fun it was. I didn't know what to expect going into it. But judging by that first trailer, I was like, okay, I think I know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
But
And
I
it
love
delivered on every possible thing.
I love not only the deadpan delivery from Daniel Radcliffe and how serious the biopic takes itself.
Yeah.
But then when it goes off in a completely different direction, like so it starts off telling this fantasy, embellished version of like how Weird Al became Weird Al. But then it goes off in a completely different direction.
It does like a behind the music VH1 kind of story where it's like,
But the way it alters reality of, I'm not going to do parody songs.
well, I got to tell you,
anymore.
I thought they were going to, given the controversy surrounding a certain artist, I thought they were going to say that Eat It was like that Beat It never existed. That's the when he's like when in the movie they say that he wrote it first and then Michael Jackson parodied him.
Yeah.
I was like, if they are ballsy enough to be like, nope, Beat It never existed. This is the only version. I was like, man, that is a bold move on their part. They didn't do that, but that's where I thought they were going.
It was great. The Madonna stuff. Evan Rachel Wood is Madonna. I thought she was so good in this.
She was.
Oh,
I forgot. I didn't realize that was her until about halfway through it.
oh,
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, the gal from Westworld.
rest in peace, Westworld.
Oh, yeah. Goodbye.
What a bummer. One season to go, and
I gotta tell you, didn't get through
Zaslav.
season 2.
Oh,
I never even made it. I watched the first season and I was like, that feels like enough.
that's the best one.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the show all the way through, but the first is the best.
Yeah, I was just like, going into season 2, like that just feels exhausting. And
It
I just
was.
never did.
It was exhausting.
Yeah,
What about you, Matt?
I never seen Westworld. Can we talk about a movie I did watch? That'd be
Not
great.
we're talking about the show, not the Yul Brynner Westworld movie.
Never seen that movie.
Oh, perfect.
Did you ever see Future World?
No.
did you ever see The King and I?
Is these dollar store? What are we talking about? Do you think that the Michael Jackson version, they should have called it a Sirius? That he made a Sirius of your song.
That would be great.
I thought that was
That's pretty good. That's pretty
Sometimes I watch movies, I think, boy, if I wrote this,
Oh, I do that a lot.
I'm the funniest guy. So
Trust me, I've watched Halloween Ends a bunch. So I
Well,
get it.
but
yeah, you wrote a pretty good movie out of that.
Thank you
thing.
very much.
now, Matt, we had you on because you like music,
I love music.
and that means you probably know Weird Al because
I've never met the man,
Never met
but
him.
I am
Okay.
familiar
Okay.
with his work. Certainly, one of the first tapes I ever bought was Off the Deep End, I
Oh,
believe.
Okay.
classic.
That's
I
pretty
think
good.
Weird Al is a lot of people's first record or cassette.
Yeah, and
I think
here's
Bad Hair Day was my first CD of his.
the thing for me. Well, where are you guys at with old Weird?
So I definitely way into it when I was younger.
Oh, for sure.
Big
Yeah,
time.
that's the arc.
that
right.
And I still like anything. Like I heard,
And then you graduated to Tom Lear.
that's right. Yeah, but I heard when they do Amish Paradise at the end of the song, I was like, oh yeah, turn that on in the car when I got in the car.
Okay.
So like I enjoy him every once in a while now, but nowhere near like I used to listen to Bad Hair Day
Yeah.
or what was the Jurassic Park one? The one
Palooza?
Alapalooza, and then the one before that were like the three
Yeah.
that were like in my. Is it Off the Deep End?
It could be. It could be.
I think those are the
I'm not
three
sure.
that I
But
pay attention to.
he's
the
still
most.
got it. I'll tell you what. I saw him at the Fox a few years ago, the big theater that we have here in town. And
Did he
I mean,
sell that place
he puts
out?
on a high energy. I mean,
If
pretty
you've never
much.
seen Weird Al Yankovic live, you're missing out.
Lean live, he puts on a hell of a show. Costume changes, video production, dancers, like all this stuff. Sometimes
Yeah.
he plays with an orchestra.
Whoa.
You know, he went
Yeah,
did
that's
a
the
tour
current
like that.
tour he's doing. I think was with an orchestra. I think that just wrapped up.
Dang.
And then before that he did a tour where it was no novelty songs. It was all or no parody songs. It was all the other stuff he wrote, and it was called like Weird Al's self-indulgent,
Yeah, that was good.
vanity project, something
Yeah.
like that. But
He puts on a great show, and I interviewed him before he did a show at Tom's Arena one time, and saw that.
Do you
show.
own that place?
yes, I am
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, Tom's Arena.
Tom's Arena.
Tom's
yeah.
Arena, yeah.
But yeah, no, I've met him twice. He's
Okay.
super nice. I
He's a
mean,
super nice guy and obviously very talented. But I mean, all these years later, he's still putting on a hell of a show. So if you ever have the chance to see him, like if you listened to him when you were younger, if you watched this movie and heard these songs, you're like, yeah, man, these are great and catchy. Like it's really cool to go see him.
Yeah, like the stage show is amazing because I mean it's costume changes for almost every song.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you know here's the thing that I don't think people talk about enough, and by enough I mean at all. How good that band is.
Oh, really?
Right?
Sure.
Because that
They don't
band
switch genres.
they
and-
got to sound like a different band every 3 minutes, or the joke doesn't work.
That's fair.
right?
Yeah,
that's fair.
And he's had, from what I understand, the same band
Yeah.
like the entirety of his career, and they are spot on. They sound great. Like
Are they the guys that just picked up instruments and said, "Oh,
yeah,
we can
for sure,
play
yeah.
backup for
but
it"?
like no sense of hyperbole at all. Weird Al belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The whole band, they are ridiculously good. And I remember reading a quote one time about Sammy Davis Jr., and I feel like it applies to Weird Al Yankovic, where someone said, "You might not like Sammy Davis Jr., but you will never leave a Sammy Davis Jr. show saying that man did not try to entertain you."
Sure, sure,
That
sure,
is
sure.
Weird Al Yankovic. Like those shows, I had saw him live when I was a kid. He opened for the Monkees in '87.
That tracks.
And so yeah, which is a great opening act for
Yeah.
the Monkees, right? And so I saw him, and it was a fun show, but it was like 30 minutes, and I didn't really think anything of it. I was 16 when I saw it, you know? And so I saw him again as an adult with the new appreciation. I was just like, Weird Al, like an hour and a half, 2 hours of Weird Al songs? Like, really? Like, people,
Right.
and
How much more do you have to play?
yeah, well, I mean, it just seems
Sure.
like that would get kind of stale. and I could not have been more wrong.
That's fun. Yeah.
If you've never seen it, you really owe it to yourself. He's a national goddamn treasure. Yeah.
Well, sure.
But
I agree.
oh my god,
He seems like a sweet man. Certainly had me cracking up as a boy. And I have grown into something of a man.
Adjacent.
And I feel as though Weird Al's humor is still the same humor. I feel like now live. I've never seen him live, and I do feel like that would be the way to experience a show, right? But like, I think there's a thing about like humor that sort of evolved. Like Three Stooges like aren't funny anymore. I know there'd be like instances where you go, well, that was funny. But like on a whole, it's like, well, I've once like cartoons do it.
do you still laugh at Looney Tunes?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I
get what you're saying, though.
it.
Like, it's easier to go back and appreciate old humor than it is to actually laugh at it. So, like, I love Abbott and Costello, but if I watch an Abbott and Costello movie, I'm not exactly...
You're
Snorting.
enjoying it.
And a lot of it's almost more nostalgia-based, and I think Weird Al's in that same
and it
camp
becomes
for a
sort
lot
of
of people.
quaint and like, oh, this is cute. And I do, and look, and I'll tell you, I don't talk about this because I feel like you really get... People don't like when you don't like Weird Al.
Because he just seems like the nicest guy in
He
the
does.
world, and he's talented, so it's like it's hard to say anything bad about
But
Weird Al.
well, I also think he was, again, probably not the first one, but the first one to do big parody productions, right? Like this full band recording studio.
Right.
Sounds like the original,
Sounds
but
just
it's
like
funny.
it.
There'd always been novelty songs,
Right.
and occasionally even parody songs, but like not with this level of production.
Yes.
And I would say in most cases, no one ever really knew the name of the person.
Yep.
They would like the particular song, but
And it wasn't a career. It was
Right.
a one-off thing that
it
someone
would
did.
come and go. I don't know that anybody really ever built an entire career on it.
And that's cool. It's cool to be the first big one to do it. But now everybody does it. And I think there are people on YouTube who are perhaps
Oh boy.
doing it maybe better than Weird Al. Maybe funnier
Well,
than
thanks,
Weird Al.
Matt. I guess.
I think it's also difficult now because pop culture is so fragmented, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Sure,
So,
yeah.
so like when he starts, he really takes off in the age of MTV. Like MTV was, I mean, he predates it, but it was rocket fuel for him.
Sure.
And I think that's where the idea of the production value came in, because he would recreate the
videos,
videos
too.
Without
And then-
without video, I don't think we'd be talking about Weird Al anymore. It would
True.
have been a
He'd be right along with the guy who made Rock Me Amadeus.
right.
Or sorry, Rock Me Jerry Lewis.
And this
I
is
didn't even
not
know that was a
to
thing.
Yeah,
say,
this is-
I
yeah.
think he deserves all the. I want nothing but good things for Weird Al. It's just always been kind of an interesting thing to me to see people, specifically his music, be like, dude, that guy's so funny. And it's like, I mean, it's just talking about like what if the song was about food? It is.
I think some of it is.
And he does hit some clever. It's not like it's never funny and a good, clever twist on a thing, but I just feel like on a whole, it's oftentimes like. Sometimes, I mean, you just make a list of the words about pizza and plug
well, if it's
them.
so easy, Matt, why don't you make a parody album for your next album?
Well, and this is another problem with what I'm talking about. I did make an album of synth covers of modern country songs about beating people up. I didn't change any of the lyrics, but it's like, but Matt, if you're out there making sort of funny music, what the hell are you talking about?
It is, to your point though, I do agree is that you know, as our sense of humor goes from Looney Tunes to the Three Stooges, and just it is a progressive thing. And
for some.
that's fair. That is fair. I don't watch the Three Stooges anymore, but I will go back and watch Looney Tunes every once in a while just because they're fun. I think
there's more to enjoy there, though, right? You can
Sure.
also enjoy the art and the animation.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? There's other moving parts to take in.
Maybe a better example. You ever watch like the first season of SNL?
Oh, it's brutal.
incomprehensible.
good.
Like,
I don't know what is supposed to be
the fact
funny
that
here.
it got out of a first season is pretty impressive.
But you also,
But even then,
comedy is one of those things you always have to take in historical context. What's going on around it, right?
Sure.
And so SNL, you watch it now with the modern eye, and it's not very good. Like the original stuff specifically, they were the anti-Carol Burnett show, right? And so that's why when now there's a little movement of get Carol Burnett on SNL, and I'm like, okay, but they created SNL to counter Carol Burnett. Like Carol Burnett's
there's
great.
a movement to get her to host.
Yeah. Yeah, like how they did with Betty White.
Oh,
you know?
sure.
And Carol Burnett is great.
She might still kill.
She probably would.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
Wasn't she just on
Better Call
Better
Saul.
Call Saul?
Yeah.
So she's
And
still out there.
she's a
killing
comedy
it.
legend. She's brilliant. But it's a different style of comedy, and this ushered in a new style of comedy, right? But if you ever watch the clip shows, they'll show you clips from the original, those early years, right?
Yeah.
And one they always show you is that SNL or the Star Trek one, right?
Yes.
And you're like, oh, that's really funny, right? But if you watch the whole sketch, they show you 90 seconds and it's really funny, but it's like a 9-minute sketch.
Oh, man.
It just goes on and on and on.
Yikes.
And so this idea of people SNL used to be funny and now it's not any good. It's
I mean,
I have a whole
you're
Dude,
just
I
a
love
whiny
SNL.
little.
I think SNL's it definitely goes through fallow periods, but I think that's kind of to be expected.
Well, and even within an episode, even the greatest episodes have clunkers in them.
Yeah.
I think it's the whole. To me, people watch the show wrong. It's almost more like you should watch. Can these people every week pull off anything
A funny sketch.
at
Sure.
all?
Yeah.
and it's a miracle. And the costumes and sets are all built, that week. It's an incredible thing. And then I feel like it's fun to watch it, when a sketch ends real weird or something, and you're going oh, they didn't figure it out in time. They had to do something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a famous quote from Lorne Michaels where he goes, "We don't go on because we're ready. We go on because it's 11:30.
It's not ready for prime time, right?
Right.
That's
it's,
it's more than one way to take that. Right?
Yeah.
It's actually that Al Franken was just on the
Weird Al Franken.
yeah, right. The Your Mom's House podcast, and it's just very interesting to hear him talk about just the inner workings of that whole thing. And they asked him who's the worst that you ever had, and he was like Steven Seagal. He was absolutely the worst guest host we've ever.
Oh yeah, have you watched that episode?
It's terrible.
It's crazy.
It
and
is so
Al
bad.
Franken does not pull any
Yeah.
punches. He lets him he says everything that's possible.
I've heard stories from
and it's
people
if
talking
you
about
can
that.
find it on YouTube, I'm sure.
And
I
that's
think they
nuts
post it.
because Steven Seagal, powerful man in Hollywood. So,
Well, at one point he
who
was,
knows what'll happen to And Al Franken's at the height of his career. So.
Just
Right, the two of them.
tippy top.
So all this to say, the movie was wonderful.
yeah.
And what I did appreciate about it is it seems it's written by Weird Al.
Yeah.
He seems to sort of understand this because part of what's funny is everybody jizzing a brick over his. Is that I should? Do you have to
Wow.
cluck jizz? Is that a?
You said it
Just say it a
twice.
few more times, and I'll figure it out in editing.
What if I say it once over here and once over here? Does that make it harder to cut the video?
This is what happens when Matt is only on the Patreon. We're not used to.
Is this
But
real spoilers after dark?
That's right. That's right.
it's funny that everybody's reacting to my Bologna, oh my gosh, this is incredible, and I feel like he sort of gets it,
Oh, for sure.
Well, that's why
This
it's in the
is-
movie. That's why it's so. It's because
Well, and it's also a parody. You always have these scenes
Yes.
in these movies where they write their hit and they
the
have
light
this-
bulb moment.
I
and they
think
have
of
this,
Bohemian.
yeah.
I was thinking Bohemian Rhapsody all.
I mean,
day
you have it there.
watching
You
this.
have it in Aretha Franklin, where
Sure.
she doesn't write it, but she reworks Respect. 'Cause
Oh,
it's not
okay.
so she comes up with the arrangement,
Right.
and there's that moment in Ray where they invent Hit the Road Jack on the fly in front of a crowd, and it's maybe it's true, maybe it's half true, and
Yeah.
60 years later they kind of remember it being
Sure.
a little bit more like that than
Sure.
it actually was, but almost every one of these movies had. This is the movie Walk Hard wanted to be.
I thought the same
I
thing.
was
Interesting.
I thought the
love
exact.
Walk Hard.
I do too.
I love Walk Hard too, and that was what I was going to say before the show. I was thinking this movie is if Walk Hard was actually a Johnny Cash biopic.
Yes.
That went off
Right.
the rails. Like that is what this is. If
And I think
Dewey
Cox.
Cox was a real person, and it's like, oh, this is how his story happened.
What's the gap between the actual Johnny Cash biopic,
Walk the Line and Walk Hard.
Like, is there?
I think 2
3
years,
years,
maybe.
maybe?
3
Oh,
years.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
2005 and
why
8,
I keep
maybe?
thinking that they're like back to back, and I was like, whoever planned that out
I mean, that's
was brilliant.
essentially back to.
I guess that's true
that
for
Because you
movies,
need
yeah.
time to write and produce it.
Right.
Star Wars and Spaceballs. That's like that's like 10 years, right, or something. It's a huge.
Yeah.
Surrounded by assholes. No, I thought Dewey Cox the entire time, and I think Dewey Cox is a hilarious movie.
that it has some really funny moments.
Yeah.
I don't think it works as a whole, but there are some very
okay.
funny
Maybe I need to
moments.
see it again. It's been
Yeah.
a minute.
But Pop Star, Walk Hard.
Pop Stars.
Oh, I
Pop
forgot
Stars,
about
huh?
Popstar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Pop Stars that's in my like
Malibu's
list of
Most Wanted.
most underrated films.
Is that right?
That and it was 3 off the top of my head. Underrated comedies: MacGruber.
Oh, MacGruber. Don't
Pop
even get me
Star.
started.
And the Motorcycle Man. It's the same guy.
Massimo
Hot
Motorcycle.
Rod.
Hot Rod.
Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Hot Rod.
Oh, Hot
is
Hot Rod is one of my
Hot Rod got
faves.
lost to time because it opened the same weekend as Superbad.
Oh, it's interesting but if you look at that, all of those movies, those are all SNL guys that was like a people.
Two of them are the
people,
same guy.
People, that's right, yeah, that's right. But Will Arnett and
Andy Samberg.
Andy
And it's the
Samberg,
Lonely Island
Forte.
guys.
But like those,
Will Forte.
Will
Forte,
Forte.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Who is in this movie?
Those get like that. To me, that era of SNL kind of gets forgotten about.
Yeah.
Sure.
With the exception of like in the Box and things like that. But
those digital shorts, I
they're
think
great.
that's one of the best. eras
But to
of
your
SNL.
point,
But
is like
people
there's
tend
that-
to remember the digital shorts and not the
and not the
sketches.
sketches,
Oh,
you
true,
know,
true.
and that's to me that it's funny.
those
to bring
digital
those three
shorts
up.
are what like made SNL
Oh yeah,
popular.
Well,
again.
now they have that group.
Lonely Island.
they're
Boys?
good. That
No.
do,
No,
don't-
they got the 3 guys. that
People
they-
say "Don't Stop or I'll Die," but that's
No.
Paul Rust.
Paul Rust.
no. What I don't. Oh, I can't. I'm blanking on it. Now.
Is it the 3 guys? Is it Mickey, whatever his
the
name is?
red-haired guy and the other 2 guys?
I'm sure they're writers
Don't
on the
delete?
show
What
as
is it?
well. Get a bit of bed. I'm sure they write on the show too, but they're not in sketches.
No.
They're only
Yeah.
these digital shorts.
Yeah.
That's such a funny. I guess they don't call them. Do they call them that?
No,
anymore?
but
it's
stop,
surely
yeah.
not. Right?
But
Oh,
they
digital,
got,
interesting.
but they got 3 guys to do digital shorts. Like
Which,
they.
but is also frustrating because people act like that's new.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
they were doing pre-produced film bits in,
Oh,
the,
yeah,
in, the,
right.
in the first season.
you-
Albert Brooks was making them for
Do you
them.
remember?
They're not funny.
They're not though. Like there was that one with is it Jane Curtin and Phil Hartman, where it's like a throwback to a 19. Maybe it's not.
It's
Jane
like
Curtin.
sad or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, where like they do like a throwback to a 1930s
Like,
drama,
Like yeah, like
And
they
the
do
whole-
like this dance thing.
and the whole thing, and like it ends with like them dancing together to this sad ass music to a spotlight.
But
and
they
it's
had
like,
always they did stuff like that in the original
It was
run.
such a
SNL. They would make these
weird-
weird. And they used to have stand-ups on. They they
doing
I mean,
acts.
Yeah, they.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, they had. I mean, that's where. I mean, Joel Hodgson was on there. Harry Anderson would pop up and do stuff.
remember Harry
sometimes.
Anderson popping up.
There was that guy. I always forget his name, but there was this
Eddie
guy
Murphy.
who was a juggler. They had a juggler on there.
Really?
Yeah, and he was great. He was really funny. Yeah, but it was like Michael something. He's got this very bland name, but
Smith.
I mean, practically, yeah. But
That's my brother-in-law.
But they
He's
used
a
to
juggler?
do all sorts of different stuff. You know.
Juggles a baby.
So this movie, it was co-written by Eric Appel, who also directed it, and he's the guy that made the Funny or Die skit. This is adapted. This movie's
right.
adapted
Okay,
from a
okay.
15-year-old Funny or Die skit that was just a throwaway gag. It was hilarious. It had all these guests, all these famous
There's a
people
lot
playing
of
parts.
Yeah, guest spots. I
And
guess.
and it was just this little 5-minute fake trailer for Weird, the Al Yankovic story. And I loved when they announced this movie and they said it was the same title. I'm like, they're going with the parody title. Like you could kind of sense the tone of it just from that. Like that's what they're doing. And so this is the same guy. I didn't realize until I had just watched him. Like I didn't know the same guy was involved.
It's funny because has there ever been another musical act that is that has had 2 bites at the apple and kind of made like these cult favorite films? Because I think this will probably bummed that this went to Roku, and I'm not trying to poop on Roku, but let's be honest,
It's just not going to get seen
Correct.
by a very wide audience. But
it's going to be a huge bump for Roku
Yeah,
because I think a lot of
absolutely.
people are talking about this movie.
Yeah.
So like,
I think it's good for Roku. It's maybe not. It's
good for the movie.
good for the movie, but
right.
but
they
I,
got paid. I'm sure. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, I mean, Roku financed it. I'm guessing. So.
but
It's a Roku
does
production,
Roku?
isn't
Do they own it or do they license it ultimately?
I thought it said it's a Roku production.
Well, there's a lot of things that say like Netflix
Yeah.
original that weren't
Oh.
Netflix originals.
That's fair.
And so I wonder if like in
you can
5
move-
years it
oh.
ends up on Netflix or
Okay.
you can buy it on Vudu or
You know, I don't. I used to think I knew how that worked with streaming.
have
Now
no
I know
idea.
they can just stop showing their own originals and they can
Yeah.
whatever. But anyway, so
But I was thinking about UHF. Like UHF has like this massive cult following. Like
now
to the
people
point,
are talking about UHF 2. They want to
I don't want a UHF too.
or they want
like
to faux,
UHF to me is it's just not funny. None of that works.
I
And
own it, but
I know there are people who love it, and you love it because you saw it when you were 14.
Yep.
And you can still enjoy it on that level. But like, I think I probably was 14 when it came out, but I was just like, this isn't funny, and it just never worked.
It was
for
very
me.
irreverent.
Well, I
guess is
feel
the-
that's no. Look, personally, I love nostalgia. Driving by my old house, oh, great, love it. But I do. Oh man, it's so irritating to me that people can't separate
Right.
nostalgia from like I want a UHF too.
so irritating that people love things that make them feel
No,
good.
no, no,
They
no, no, no,
just-
no, no. And I specifically said that's not
irritating that they can't recognize what's driving their love for it.
right. Like, yeah, I know.
Like people that grew up watching the original Halloween and then watched all the sequels and they love Halloween. So
Yes,
these new
and they're
ones come out.
blinded.
The new ones come out and they just love these new Halloween movies.
and
they
no
cannot
matter how hard you try to get through to them with facts and logic, they will go to the ends of the earth to say that Halloween Ends was good movie.
why do I feel like you're talking about me?
What we? Just
I mean,
general-
I gotta
a lot
tell
of
you,
people, it's
there was
just
a
a lot
moment
of-
where I thought you were going to say Monster Squad, and I was ready to come across this table.
No, because Monster Squad was never good. Like I don't. There's
Yeah, I
not
wouldn't.
even.
What are you talking about?
No,
Why would
yeah,
that
That's
be?
not even nostalgia.
Yeah.
for it.
That's yeah. I mean,
You,
we can go on if you'd like. I can tell you.
you and
why.
Glenn Cougar Melon Brewer are gonna
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
we'll go to the ends of the earth.
I
for that
will.
movie.
Hey man, I've watched it a couple more times.
I indulge in nostalgia. You know, I'll go back and listen to some bad music,
Sure.
and it gives me the good feeling. But I know I don't want this band to make another record. Like I don't need to go further into their catalog than the one CD I had at 13.
What
You know?
is it? What is? Give me one of those.
That's hypothetical. I listen to really good music. The Weird Al. I mean, I
That's
don't.
fair.
I never had Bad Hair Day.
Okay.
Oh,
But I could listen to Off the Deep End and be like, oh, yeah. Or Ren and Stimpy Vidiots or Beavis and Butthead's soundtrack. Oh, no, that's actually good.
That is a good soundtrack.
That's just
didn't he do a
songs.
Nirvana? Was that Off the Deep End? The Nirvana,
Off the Deep End
Yeah.
is Smells Like Nirvana.
but with the pool, with the
Yeah.
kid. in the-
Yeah, but the
The
song the
donut.
song on that is Smells Like Nirvana.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I had that.
But
one
I don't
too.
think I would enjoy Bad Hair Day
It's got Amish Paradise
today.
on there.
Yeah. And even at that point, when that song came out, I did, the video was kind of cool, but yeah, that's what Amish people do. You're
I
right.
think for Weird Al songs for me, it's like I listen to them once and I'm like, oh, that's good, and then I'll
clever.
maybe listen to a second time just to like now that I know where it's going.
Play
enjoy-
for your friend. Isn't this funny? Isn't this funny? But then they don't laugh, and you go, well,
yeah,
Pretty
but
fly
then I'm
for a
ki-
rabbi.
That's pretty good.
But then I'm kind of done with it. Like I don't need to revisit it in the same way that I would listen to the original song.
it's like
if I
someone
liked
telling
it.
you a joke over and over.
Yeah.
So this movie, we should talk about the movie. So
Eh.
yeah, right.
Not really why I came here, man.
But this thing is stacked. The cast that they
Yeah.
got for this movie. So Diedrich Bader starts off as the narrator who's talking as if he was Al telling the story of his life. There's been some kind of accident. Al is rushed into a hospital. Lin-Manuel Miranda is the doctor, and he's about to call it, and Al pops back up to life. And he's like, okay, maybe we need to rewind a bit.
Yeah.
So you know something's going to go crazy. And you also know that there was never some situation Al was
no,
in where he
Weird-
almost...
I mean, if you know Weird Al, you know that there's never been. Knock on wood. There's never been a controversy.
Yeah, he
with
doesn't
Weird
curse
Al.
in real life. He doesn't even curse like outside his songs. He says he's never cursed in his life. So like Weird Al is a clean cut guy with no controversy. But the movie starts off with him in this crazy tragic accident, and they're about to call it. So it rewinds back and it goes to his childhood, and his home life is crazy, and it's like just like his mom is like, yeah, we just want you to stop being yourself and doing things you enjoy. The dad's like, I want you to work in the factory.
What do you make at the factory? What do I make at the factory? What do I make at the factory?
It's so vague. The whole movie.
I really thought the reveal was going to be that they made accordions.
I said the same thing to Katie. I go, I bet they make accordions.
That would be.
But
pretty
there
good.
was some kind of tie-in with accordions, so kind of with the dad. So
it would
actually
have been kind of double dipping on that joke.
Because I thought, oh, well, he makes accordions all day, and he's done that his whole life.
Right.
And he hates accordions, but the spoilers, like the reason he doesn't want him to play accordion is because he had this tragedy, and couldn't play the accordion when he was a kid.
Guess what? He was an Amish boy.
Yeah. So the one day a traveling Tom Lennon.
It's not John.
No.
Pretty sure.
If it's John, whoa,
They got him.
Weird Al. I mean, there's a lot of cameos.
They have buried the lead.
I'm still thinking, what was that? Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Man, that scene still like hits me in a certain way that I didn't expect it to hit me.
All your troubles seem so far away.
I'm telling you, man, when he opens that door and he starts talking to John, and like John Lennon's standing there, I don't know why, like right in the
Robert
gut.
Carlyle played.
Yeah, I think so. But it's like, whoa, I don't know why, but still, every time I see that scene, right in the gut.
So anyway, Thomas Lennon shows up as a traveling door-to-door accordion salesman,
Which is how Weird Al really got his accordion.
New boot goofing.
I mean, his dad didn't beat the crap out of him.
right.
But
seriously, the guy came.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true.
Because I thought this is so ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but yeah, no, and like I guess they were debating if they wanted to get him a guitar or an accordion, and the mom landed on accordion.
Oh, man.
Because she thought like, well, he could be a one-man band.
I think
he wouldn't need other people to make his little songs.
Tom Lennon is kind of low key one of the funnier people you will see. Like
he pops up in a lot of stuff.
But he's
in the Dark
great.
Knight, right? Or Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, he's in one
Bruce
of those,
Wayne's
isn't
doctor.
Yeah.
But when he's laying on the ground and the mom's like, "Oh, we'll get you some help," and he just like coughs
Spitting
up
up
blood.
blood,
He's
yeah.
like, "Please."
But so in this version, the mom and dad don't want him to have anything to do with music, and basically the dad beats the crap out of him. What are you doing in my house? And he goes for a walk, and the mom goes to get their coffee can of money, and she's like, "Sorry, we'll buy the accordion." And then she's having this heart-to-heart with Al on the couch, and he's like spitting up blood. And she's like, "Excuse me, we're having a talk here." So that's the tone of the movie, where it's so ridiculous and preposterous, but it's played deadpan. It's played seriously.
The
Whole time. No one's winking at the camera.
If Weird Al were to make a Weird Al version of a music biopic, this is it.
Yeah,
this
I mean,
is exactly what this is.
I did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
But I think they played it 100% right with the tone. Like
Yeah.
this movie
Yeah.
works so well because it's not
winking at
stupid.
you. Like
it's not like the Scary Movie 2. Okay, the first couple were funny. Then they did all the knockoff.
Well, then the
ones.
Airplane guys came in. That's what it was. The guys that did Airplane came
How
in.
did the Airplane guys mess it up?
Because they went the Airplane route with it and just made it like super.
But yeah, because
goofy.
originally it was Wayne's brothers doing it all,
Was,
and
yeah.
then they pushed them out, and they brought in. I don't know. They brought in all of Zaz, but they brought in key components of it.
Yeah.
and I think Pat Proft was part of it too.
Oh,
maybe.
Maybe
And
that
they
humor
used him a
didn't
lot.
hold up the way it
And
did in the
I just-
70s.
Yeah, and so they. But yeah,
But they got what, 4 of those things?
something they made a bunch.
But
of
the
them.
point is, though, is that it's just stupid. It's not funny. It's so silly, and it's not clever. And so, like, if they would have been winking at the camera the whole time, I think this would have just seemed dumb as opposed to how funny it was with the production value and the actors. And
You know what is one of the things that I kind of love is that Daniel Radcliffe has made so much money. off
he
of-
can do whatever he wants.
He's like Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
And he
like,
had to get away from being typecast. As soon as he graduated from that
as
Harry
soon
Potter
as Deathly
business,
Hallows 2 came out, he's like, "Can I pull my out on stage?" I'm like, "Yeah,
But
okay,
I mean,
cool."
Yeah, he really did a smart thing by changing the trajectory of his
Yeah.
career and not to be seen as this.
That's
that-
tough, man. I mean, those what year did those start? 99? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
And
Something
then
like
they
2001,
and they
something
ran
like that.
until 5 years ago.
Something like that. Yeah.
And I guess not including the Eddie Redmayne stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't count. But I mean, like those movies,
he grew
you
up.
watch that kid grow up on
he-
film.
right? He was. Yeah, exactly. So it's really hard to get away from that, and he did a great job. Swiss Army Man, I always talk about how that movie is just amazing, but he's done some really weird stuff. I mean, that Guns Akimbo.
That's a weird
I mean, as
movie.
much as I don't like the director and all the crap
he's
that
a
he's done,
scumbag.
but I mean, that is a weird movie. Daniel Radcliffe has they've installed guns on his hand. He's
Yeah.
running around in his underwear and a robe with guns. Like,
Was he in Now You See Me 2?
I never saw that one. I think so, but I never
but
saw
but I do appreciate that him and Elijah Wood have both been like, hey man,
same thing.
I'm gonna go make this weird color of money shape of what's the Nicolas Cage one? Didn't he do one with Nicolas Cage that was based off of like it's like a horror flick like In the Woods?
There's a lot of those.
But like this is like this is like
was
that
Elijah Wood in that?
I thought he produced it.
Oh, okay.
I thought
I don't think he was in that. You're talking about the color,
I don't know.
But either
good.
way,
I
like
just
but that's what he was doing, right?
Yeah.
Like he did Maniac, like he did a remake of Maniac.
Yeah, Maniac
which
was
is
good.
Bonkers to me that they were like,
all first person, right? That was like the deal.
oh, was it?
It's all from the perspective of Elijah Wood. You only see him in like mirrors and stuff. I'm pretty sure.
No Joe Spinell, I guess, in that one.
No, and he's a handsome man this time.
That's kind of like was it Peeping Tom?
Peeping Tom is but I like it's fun to see him be able to do. Hey man, I'm gonna do Imperium.
It's great. Well, and Daniel Radcliffe is a really, really good actor, and I'm glad he was able to get away from that. And again, because of his talent, because he had the foresight to be like, I cannot be just in fantasy kids movies
Harry
my
Potter
whole
forever.
Or yeah, that like
Well, he could
like not Harry Potter, but like here's this other fantasy young adult genre he could be in.
Who's the other kid? Who was his buddy?
Rupert
Ron
Grint?
Weasley.
He was just like, hey man, I'm out.
Well, I mean, none of them need to work, right?
No.
And so, like, you could just retire and start a family.
He's in that.
Well, he just came back.
Shyamalan show.
Yeah, he just came back to that, but he took time off and had a kid and stuff like that. But,
He's really good in it.
But none of them need to work. Right?
No.
And so he did a great, he's done all these weird movies. He's really good in everything he does.
And
Aqueous is
Kevin,
the stage.
and this weird movie.
There you go.
You know?
But Aqueous is the one
That's
where
the
you
one,
get
yeah.
naked on stage.
Yes, right. Who's like, hey man, I'm doing it.
But he's done a lot of stuff, and he's really good. And I think you would never have imagined him being cast as Weird Al. And he's great in the role. Like it's awesome. And like when he was in
that also makes the joke work, right? Like
Yeah,
the joke
because-
is that it's not someone you would picture,
Right,
You know?
right.
He did an interview, I think he was on Fallon, and he was like, yeah, I got it, and like I love Weird Al, and I was flattered, but I'm also like, physically I don't look anything like him. Are you sure you don't want someone that look? But that is the joke. It's
Right,
just
yes.
Well, and that's what these things do, right? They cast these serious actors. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix doesn't look like Johnny Cash.
The only one that comes close is Rami Malek, and that's because they did stuff to his face.
Yeah.
I still think he looked like a cartoon character. I know you always say like, oh, Freddie Mercury was kind of like, but I don't.
Although if you want to go back in time, Gary Busey's Buddy Holly.
That's a fair point.
true. Yeah.
That's a fair point. Well,
that was pre-head injury.
Well, yeah. There's,
He was gonna be a thing.
yes, he was absolutely going to be a thing, and then
He's a thing.
he's a thing now.
It's a different kind.
It's a different kind of thing.
He needs to keep his thing to himself. That's what he needs to do.
really.
So basically, I mean, there's some really funny bits. He sneaks out of the house to go to a polka party where all the kids are.
I didn't know it was a polka party.
Right,
Yeah.
but he's like, this is a polka party. So the biggest
My
thing is,
parents are going to kill me.
yeah, he's trying to hide that he listens and plays polka. More Camp Scott Ackerman comes to the door as a cop in this, and they end up bringing him home like, this is what your kid was doing. And the dad finds out he's been hiding his accordion playing. He goes to the closet, gets it, and smashes it on the ground. And so fast forward, and he's at college, and the guys convince him to.
It's the one kid from Unbreakable. It's the son from Unbreakable.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
some of them looked.
Yeah.
That I know exactly what you're talking about.
But they
Yeah.
basically are going around and they're saying like, what would you want to do with your life? And the one kid's like, I'd like to speed at 100 miles an hour and crash my car so my parents could find my body. And they're just like, whoa.
Yeah, suck on that, mom and dad.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then obviously Al says that he wanted to write his own lyrics to songs.
Yeah.
And he's like, do it.
And the way it's so hilariously contrived, the way that they can come up like in the best way possible.
If you watch Aretha,
I can't watch biopics. I think they're so stupid. Like
is it
everyone's
like this bad? The
I
way
mean,
that-
the scene where she like comes up with the arrangement for Respect,
Yeah.
is just like this.
Okay, so
Just
which
like
it's hilarious that if real biopics are doing this because it seems so ridiculous. In a satire, yes, but it's like, well, they really...
So I kind of agree. I like biopics to an extent, but I also think that like, especially with like the Queen one, where it's like none of this is true.
Right.
Rocket Man is so good.
Rocket Man is really
I
good.
didn't
Man.
see Rocket Man, but it looks to be a different.
It's very
It is
different.
very
Yeah,
different.
it
But like
is.
the Elvis, which I also heard is good, but I
Elvis
have
is
no
good.
desire to watch it because it just looks like I know what's.
But also,
I like biopics when they, instead of trying to tell the whole story,
You get
they
the little chunk.
like Spielberg's Lincoln, where he's like, I'm not going to tell you Lincoln's life story. I'm going to tell you about this 2-month period where they try to make slavery illegal, right? And what they had to do to get it. Like,
what
Because
about
to
what
tell
about
a
the
whole
what
life
about the
is-
Spielberg biopic that's coming out?
That's supposed to be good.
but even then, that's not his whole life.
You know, it doesn't. Look,
But he does start as a kid. But yeah, I don't know how far.
Well, I mean,
it
I
goes.
don't think
Oh,
I
yes.
don't think you're going to see him shooting Jaws. And
No, no.
Amistad. Like, it's going to be about
Him
his
growing up,
childhood.
yeah.
It's about
Okay.
But yeah, when you when you truncate someone's
and
life,
then I got hired for Ready Player One.
I hate that movie.
You know what was a good musical biopic? I thought that holds up, and because a lot of times they don't have a narrative. The NWA one.
oh, Straight Outta Compton.
There we go.
So, and again, that one kind of looked better. I didn't
Yeah.
see it because I
But
really
I think
don't like
because
biopics.
there's a narrative
Yeah.
to it that you don't get in a lot of biopics, and it doesn't try to cover what they're doing today, like because that they kind of became a big deal and flamed out, and then all went separate
Right.
ways, and it kind of ends with the flame out. But you get this narrative of like them fighting against what mainstream pop culture is saying about them.
Does it end with him dying? Is that how that ends? With him getting diagnosed with?
I don't
AIDS
remember.
or
It's
HIV?
been a while since I've seen it. I just remember really enjoying it.
Yeah, it was a good flick.
But it's like inherently funny to smash someone's life down to an hour and 30 minutes. Like there's no way to
That's
do
a
it.
whole life. Yeah, it's really hard to tell the whole story. So I agree with Tom. That is cool, and they focus on smaller parts. But here even, it's like it doesn't even go anywhere, and it's hilarious. Maybe we won't spoil it yet, but I mean, it doesn't even go that far, which is funny because different direction. But so they're sitting around the really contrived thing. He's like, oh well, that's never going to happen with me writing the silly words. Does anyone want a sandwich? And he goes to the fridge and he's like, oh, whose bologna is this?
Bologna.
And
And it's
Bologna.
almost like
It's-
it's my bologna.
It's funny. My wife, who really enjoyed the movie, didn't know the song.
Oh, so
and so
that his
she's
first-
like,
that's his
and so
first
she's
one,
like,
right?
why? She's like, why do they keep calling it Bologna? And I was like, you just gotta, you'll.
Oh,
see.
when the record skipped or whatever.
Yeah.
The
yeah. My
So
Sharona.
good, so good.
So they're listening to My Sharona on the radio, and he goes and he's like, "Who's bologna? It's my bologna." And then the way that he freezes, he like the light bulb goes off,
Right.
And they focus the camera on Daniel Radcliffe, and he's just like, "My bologna." I mean, it's so funny, and again, deadpan. Like the delivery
Takes
is so
it very
serious.
seriously.
and his friends instantly recognize the genius. right?
Absolutely.
Like, they're, like,
And they
yeah.
and he puts on the accordion, and it's Weird Al, by the way. Weird Al's doing all the songs.
Yeah.
He re-recorded them for this movie. Daniel Radcliffe's doing a great job. He sang live.
yeah, he
but then
sings live on set, but then
Okay.
they dub in
Weird
Al's
Al.
pretty
voice.
good.
But it looks really good.
It does.
And
It looks
it's-
good, yeah.
The voice, I mean, it
And
sounds
it's obvious
because
so it's
you
very
know
funny.
it's very funny, but it looks good, but it sounds ridiculous because you know, but it's really great. And so he puts on this performance, and it's just hilarious. And the guys take it like he's going to change the world. That's
Yeah.
the thing. They hear him sing a song about My Bologna, and they go, "You have to get your music out
Because
to the
we can go
world."
record it in the
But-
bathroom.
Yeah, and then he's like, "I the bus."
Also
Tom,
true.
is that true? Okay.
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
well, this-
recorded it in the bathroom of a
It
college
sounds
radio
bad.
station.
I mean that
Oh,
recording.
I was
yeah,
going to say
because-
not a bus station. Okay.
No, it was like they were, I think, working at the college radio station. They went
Sure.
but they did record it in a bathroom. If you hear the original version of My Bologna, I mean, it is brutal. I
So
mean,
that's the joke.
It sounds
That's-
like he sang it into a cassette recorder because I think that's what he did.
But that's
Yeah.
that's Weird Al, not taking himself too seriously. That's what you mean. He wrote
Yeah.
this part in because he's like, yeah, let's go record this in a bathroom. It sounded like it because that's what it was.
And a lot of acts did that because of the acoustics. Like that's not a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
the
sure.
Beatles did it, the Monkees did it. I think Bad Company did it. Like it's
bad company.
But it's great. But in the movie, and the way that it comes up, it's hilarious. It's like, oh, and I think the bathroom of the bus terminal has great acoustics.
Yeah.
And you see him in the bathroom. People are walking in and out
Yeah,
of the
right,
bathroom,
right.
tripping over him. But like he records the hit, and he brings it to the record executives.
Played by Weird Al.
One is Weird Al, and one is Will Forte.
Will Forte.
It's the
Yeah.
Scotti Brothers, which is who released his music. His albums were originally on Scotti Brothers Records.
Okay.
And they are just like
They also released Survivor's Eye of the Tiger.
Oh.
So
From Rocky 2, mind you.
3.
yeah.
Isn't 3 Hearts on Fire? Oh,
Oh, that's four, my
four is
friend.
Hearts on Fire. That's right.
4.
You're right, you're
Don't
right.
forget it.
Yes. Could I?
Well, and there's Eye of the Tiger Redux. I think comes back in 4 too.
Oh, only if they earned it.
Yeah.
Now this scene with these Scotty brothers.
Yes, sir.
This is some of my philosophy on comedy for you.
Okay.
So they don't like his stuff, right? They're telling him he's bad, he's terrible.
They are brutal.
And then Will Forte just goes nuts. He's just
never
calling him
not
ugly,
funny.
calling him just dresses bad, he's stupid.
Yeah.
And that is funny 5 years ago. But then you have Weird Al's character being like, okay, that's too far. Adding like another layer that now makes this, like if they were both just totally mean to him, that would have been like, well, I've seen that. This
But you're saying
it's funny because he's talking about Weird Al, the real person.
But you're saying that because Will Forte ramps it up to 11.
and then
No, but
the
Weird Al's
original
there.
guy is going like, that's too, now this is too much.
And
Like,
it's played by the guy he's actually
Right.
talking about.
right?
Yeah.
and
Which I thought made that scene great.
Yeah.
The fact that
I
Weird Al
love
was
Will
there.
Forte
to-
so much.
Oh, and it is. I mean, and even those things like that, because that would just kind of be a played out thing.
Yeah.
The guy's really mean, and
Being
it
really
is Will
mean,
Forte,
right.
and it would still be kind of funny. But you
Yeah.
you have to keep adding like a new element or twisting the element enough.
And Weird Al wrote this, and he's in this scene. He sounds like comedic genius. I don't know what your problem is.
I think he makes good movies post UHF.
Weird Al makes good movies post UHF. Okay.
Batting 500.
Yeah.
I don't think
Batting 1,000 out by that criteria.
what's
so.
Aluminum Foil was a great song, but
But this sets him off on his trajectory where now Weird Al is taking the world by storm, and the movie plays it up like obviously Weird Al was a huge smash sensation. Like, don't get me wrong, but like I love the way the movie puts him on superstardom. Like he's living in a huge mansion.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine Weird Al actually moved.
He had
into
multiple albums go platinum.
No, I know,
Like,
but
that's
They were
not
around
nothing.
his neck.
But the way that I don't think Weird Al ever lived the way he was
I don't-
presented in the show because
No.
he is a humble,
I mean,
more down
I
to
think
earth
that
guy.
Weird Al has made very good money doing what
Absolutely.
he does, but I don't think he wants to live
He doesn't
like that.
flash it like that. But the movie instantly puts Daniel Radcliffe as Weird Al in this huge mansion.
Right, he
and
goes
living in luxury.
he goes to a party with
Because that's what happens in biopics, right? Your success goes
Yeah.
to your head.
well, they play that like punk rock show, right?
yeah.
And Dr. Demento's sitting in the corner.
That is a great. But
It's
they
so
go to
funny.
a biker bar, whatever, with the punk rock and all that, and Patton Oswalt's in the audience, and then Dr. Demento's like sipping,
Played by Rainn Wilson.
played by Rainn Wilson, is in the back of the show. Like he doesn't belong
In
there, but
his
he just
top hat.
in his top hat, drinking a
Well,
mixed drink.
and that's
Like,
the thing. Every time we play a show, especially
I'll
if
plug
it's
the band. Who is it?
it doesn't matter. Especially if it's like we kind of know it's not going to be great. Like, we got put on this thing. It's a Wednesday, but it's like with a band from Nashville. And if we knew a band from, so we'll do this.
Yeah.
And we always say like, well, maybe a record executive's limo will break down outside. and they'll have to
Like in
come
Wayne's
in.
World?
Like in Wayne's World, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
and it's just such a, and I think having him in his little like
Mr.
top
Big of
hat
Big Records?
outfit,
Yeah.
it was really funny. It was really funny
Oh, it was great.
because that doesn't happen. It's not
Oh.
real.
Are you saying that's not a thing?
That's not.
That's
you don't
not a
think that's how it
thing.
really happened?
I don't think so.
But yeah, this biker bar, they're gonna turn on. I mean,
Well, they've already turned
the
on
guy
this
with the
garbage
accordion.
punk band.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he comes up with the accordion, and he's kind of crashing on stage, but all his friends who don't seem to play any instruments, they just go and pick up. One goes on the drums, one gets a guitar.
Hey, I didn't know you guys could play.
Yeah, and they just start playing, and they win everyone over, and they're all chanting Weird Al and all this stuff.
Right.
And Dr. Demento goes back to his dressing room, and he's like, "You've got it."
And they go to this party, and you see like Frank Zappa and
Gallagher's there.
Gallagher's
Pee-wee
there.
Herman.
Gallagher's
Pee-wee, who
Paul
I
F.
thought
Tompkins, right?
Paul F. Tompkins is Gallagher.
Yeah.
Yorma
Yeah.
was
was
Paul Rubens.
So I got to tell you,
Pee Wee.
when I
Yorma was
first saw
Pee-wee.
that, I thought it was Paul Rubens, and I was like,
Seems like they could have got him.
I'm saying, I feel like they could have got him.
He
to-
still does the Pee-wee thing all day.
That's why I thought that. But Conan O'Brien
is Andy Warhol,
which I thought was pretty
I mean,
great.
Emo Phillips is in there.
Is he?
Yeah, and then Dimitri Martin.
Oh yeah,
He was-
yeah.
Is he Salvador Dali? Or is Emo Phillips Salvador Dali?
Tiny
Is he Tiny Tim?
Yeah, I think he's Tiny Tim, and Emo Phillips is Salvador Dali.
That's pretty great. That was pretty
And
funny.
David Dalmatian was in there. He plays the John Deacon from Queen.
Oh yeah,
That was
And
fun.
the-
that's actually one of my favorite parts. He's like, "I'm from Queen."
He's like John Deacon.
Well,
They're
no
from
one-
Queen.
yeah.
He's like from Queen, and they're like, "Are you though?" Like
He's like,
the bass player from Queen.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I love that.
I
how
wish
they-
that hadn't been a celebrity cameo and had actually
been.
Oh, sure.
That'd
Yeah.
be funny. So, but the big one is that Jack Black is there playing Wolfman Jack. And
God, I've met like 5 of the people in this movie.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
surprised they didn't ask you to come in and
Yeah,
play a
no, yeah.
part.
Do a cameo.
So the big deal is like Dr. Demento is like, what are you doing here, Wolfman Jack? And they're like rivals, and Wolfman Jack's
I
like,
will say, Jack Black does a pretty good Wolfman Jack impression.
he does.
That's pretty good.
I love Jack Black. It's always great
All
to see
right.
him. What? You don't like
I mean, I could do without
Wow.
Jack Black.
hot takes on this show?
School of Rock's a good movie.
I don't
Rocks.
disagree.
I
It is
like
a good
Jack
movie.
Black.
I agree.
He's good.
But
But
School
anyway,
of Rock is his Good Morning Vietnam. It's the
That's
it's
fair.
the film property where they figured out how to use him appropriately.
Richard Linklater, man.
Yeah, I do love you some High Fidelity though.
Oh, I love High Fidelity. That was one of his first things. I mean, I think Cable Guy was the first
Jackal.
time I saw him.
When he gets his arm
Jackal,
blown off in
yeah.
the chair.
Oh, yeah.
Waterworld.
Yeah, Waterworld might have been his
Oh.
very first thing. That
Is he
was
in
that
that?
was
A Never-Ending
really-
Story 2.
Oh,
Jack
What?
Black's in that.
Is he?
He's the bully.
With Jonathan Brandis.
I believe.
Yeah.
Shallow
R.I.P.
Hal probably
R.I.P.
doesn't hold up. in
Sure
the
doesn't.
podcast anymore.
I don't think it held up in the moment.
He can't
Oh,
hold
yeah.
it up because she's actually.
Oh,
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
So anyway, so Wolfman Jack is like, I don't think this guy's really. I've heard his little songs. If you can't come up with a parody song on the spot, then you've got nothing. And so then because the guy from Queen is there,
Another one rides the bus.
Another one rides the bus, and everyone's singing along.
Like,
and-
that's not funny.
oh, right.
It's funny in the
But
movie.
right,
Yeah,
this
It's
is-
right.
funny in the movie. That song is just not funny.
but everyone, like all the celebrities there, and they're like playing along and singing, and Gallagher's smashing a melon at the right
He
time.
does,
and-
they don't even wear ponchos at his
It's
shows.
hilarious. And then at the end of that, it's like they showed him up, and then Dr. Demento calls security, and they come and tase Wolfman Jack and drag him off. But yeah, so I mean, he just becomes this huge hit. But one of we see Madonna watching an interview or something. He's doing an interview
Something
on
like
TV,
that,
and like there's the Weird Al bump, the Yankovic bump.
Which is also
It
It's a
has
real-
to be
yeah.
true, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But like, so they're interviewing him about this thing that's been known that like, yeah, when he parodies your song, you sell a bunch of records. And so Madonna's sitting there like the Yankovic bump. Like she's like, I would like this for my songs. And so she basically tries to infiltrate and
She doesn't try.
well,
She does.
Well, and the funny part is too that like we find out that this
has only been
relationship
6
has
hours.
been- yeah, because it looks like it's over the course of days or something. But she basically shows up at his mansion,
Yeah.
unannounced,
And then
And he's just
when
like, hey, what's
they're
up?
at dinner the next after he records Eat It,
like they're in this serious relationship. And
Yeah.
you think it's been going on for weeks. He's like, this has been the best 6 hours
he says,
of my life.
I'm not doing any more parodies.
Parodies,
And he
yeah.
records Eat It, and he goes back to the brothers, and he kicks them, and he's like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. And while they're at dinner, the real Weird Al calls Daniel Radcliffe and says, hey, look, Michael Jackson has parodied.
Should have
And
been.
he's taking
serious
credit for
yeah,
it.
Yeah. He's taking credit
He's
for
not
it, right?
like he's not saying he parodied it. He's like he's taking credit
No,
for
I
the
think
song.
I think
right?
he is. I
He's
think
saying he
that's
parodied
the
it.
joke.
that
is
they're
Michael
saying.
Jackson.
Oh, did they
that
actually
It's
say
a
that?
parody of yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then,
And then he's just appalled that someone
someone would
changed
parody
that.
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
his
that's
song.
can't you
that's
do
right.
something? And they're just like, no.
That's
we
hilarious.
can't.
That's right. I forgot about that. But it's a great scene, and the whole idea, like this is the point when Madonna shows up and he's at the mansion. He says, "I'm not going to parody songs anymore." This is where the paths split. Like
Yeah.
it's obviously been embellished and it's humorous and it's not 100% factual. But as Tom said, like the things that seem ridiculous are actually kind of based in truth.
Yeah, like there's a kernel of, and also his parents were very supportive.
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
sure.
it obviously is very, it's a lot of it is fictional, but it still follows this certain path. But at this point, when she shows up at the mansion and he's decided I'm not going to do parodies anymore, I mean, right there, you're like, oh, well, that never happened.
Yeah.
Clearly he did parodies. And then like he does Eat It before Beat It.
Right.
So it goes off in this completely different path. And the Madonna thing, he said in an interview, he met Madonna once for 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And now
Although
they're-
supposedly, maybe it's apocryphal, but supposedly she had said, "I wonder when Weird Al's going to do Like a Surgeon," and that got back to him, and he was like,
Done.
"Yeah,
Got you.
that
I got you covered.
Threw away his version of Like a Sturgeon.
Ah.
And
Are you serious right now?
No.
Oh,
but
I was
the
like,
first what? The first part, not the sturgeon part. Though. Yeah.
So anyway, but they hook up. There's like a steamy love scene.
Yeah,
at the-
he's got
at
like
the-
lipstick all over his face.
yeah. So they hook up and everything. But yeah, they go out to dinner, and then this has been the best 6 hours.
6 hours of my life.
It's ridiculous.
She ends up getting kidnapped.
Yeah.
by-
Oh, there's a through line that like Pablo Escobar wants Weird Al to play at his party. He's like, I'm not gonna go play for Pablo Escobar. And then Weird Al, the manager, says like, but they're offering you 3 billion pesos.
It's like, how much is that in American?
Yeah, he's like, it's a lot of money. He's like, I don't care, I don't want it. And so
I already did the math.
yeah, right. And so he shuts that down. But clearly, you know that ridiculous storyline's going to come back. Well, yeah, they come and kidnap Madonna to get him back there to play the party.
And he kills them all in a ridiculous action sequence.
Oh my gosh, so great.
Weird Al kills all of Pablo Escobar's henchmen and Pablo Escobar with a CD.
I mean, he's like Ramboing it.
Yeah.
Didn't Weird Al do
Yes.
a parody? Okay.
And UHF.
That's why I don't get why they didn't dress him up like Rambo. Because I'm like, he did this, and then he's with the gun. I didn't really understand.
Yeah, I felt like it was an homage to that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but without the outfit, I'm like, why did he
It's
not
like
show up in the Rambo
It's
outfit?
a very bad, like, rubbery muscle suit that
Yeah,
he's wearing. Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
it did. It was just surprising they didn't go with that when he stormed the place with the gun. Like, okay, but it's hilarious because he's doing pretty good action choreography fighting these guys, and you know, like hand to hand, and then with the guns and everything. But yeah, he takes them all out and saves Madonna. But now Madonna admits that she was using it
and
Trying to
wants
get
to run the
wants to run the
cartel.
cartels. Why run the music industry when we can run the world?
which is just so hilarious that they've now gone off. Like, first of all, Madonna was hardly involved with Weird Al, as in they met for 40 seconds. But like now they've had a relationship, and then Madonna, the real person, wants to take over the cartel and run it with Weird Al.
I guess you can't really make any Sean Penn jokes
I
with
don't
Madonna.
think
Probably can't do
so.
that.
I
Can you?
don't think
Yeah,
That's
so.
not. Yeah, probably not.
ill-advised.
Bad taste.
But
Guy
yeah.
Ritchie jokes? Can we make Guy Ritchie jokes? That one's
I don't
okay,
know the
right?
only way to get them, but
That's true.
yeah.
But so now they're enemies. Like Madonna is shooting at him because he wants to leave. You know too much.
Yeah, and like not like shooting at him, but like, you know, obviously like shooting off to the side.
She's like
and
shooting the same for the first like 5 or 6 shots. It's shooting the same squib over and over again, but completely missing. And he walks away, and so you're like, oh, I guess we'll never hear from her again.
Nope, no more Madonna. And then he goes back home and he realizes that he's fallen off the rails, and he finally goes back to or goes to work at the factory that his dad worked at, and still has yet to figure out what they do at the factory.
Yeah, because a family. He's
Push
like,
that button and turn that knob, and then what? And then what?
he pushes the wrong button, and,
And
a
then
guy
sets a
falls
guy on
into
fire.
He's like,
That to me, like this, as much as this movie is very much a Weird Al like created thing, that scene is very like Looney Tunes wackadoo,
Sure, yeah.
and that felt very, very like Weird Al original concept songs.
Yeah.
You know, like just very crazy.
But
And-
the dad has a heart to heart. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I finally showed up to do what you want me to do." And he has a heart to heart where he's like, "You know, you need to go pursue music." Like he finally sees the light. But he tells him the story of why he never wanted him to play accordion.
The line delivery from the dad when the story is over is the best line delivery of the entire best joke of the whole movie, where he gives the whole he was Amish and his parents took everything away from him and blah blah. And Weird Al goes, "Huh, I never knew that story at all." He's like, "Yeah, because I just
told it
you."
to you. That's a great joke.
That was a great.
But
gag.
he had written Amish Paradise. That wasn't the dad had written
I
this.
wanted him so bad to say it's a parody of an old Coolio song. The dad to say that 40 years ago he parodied.
Was that really Coolio?
Yeah. It's
Gangster's
No,
Paradise.
no. In
No,
the audience,
no.
Because I'm like, he
He was
dead.
dead.
He just passed away.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So
what
I'm
you're
saying
right.
the movie was filmed.
Right.
I mean, he passed away 2 weeks ago or something.
He to me
Like,
is
he-
I was
They look too young to be Coolio.
well when we were getting there.
But why wouldn't they have gotten Coolio with all the people they got?
But they
But
didn't
they
get
didn't get
anybody to
anybody.
play who they really were.
oh, that's true.
Yeah.
If I remember right, he's the only one that I remember being like pissed.
Right. But
He
he,
had a-
did recant.
He
that,
did.
or walk
when he
back-
saw
go
the
back on
record
it.
sales.
Oh,
he-
sure.
When also, so Weird Al always gets permission. He won't.
Right.
He won't parody your song if you say,
say
no.
no.
Who are
And
the ones? Is it Led Zeppelin?
Which he doesn't have to do.
He does not legally have to do. No, But if you don't want him to do it, like, he won't do it. And so, because he did a parody of "Lose Yourself" by Eminem, and you can hear snippets of it in concert. There's a pre-recorded thing, and they'll play a piece of it. But like, to the best of my knowledge, he's never released it because Eminem was like, no.
What a dork.
Yeah,
But
and
Eminem is like a comedy guy now. I can't believe he would have never.
Well, I
like,
think he was a comedy
More
guy
of a comedy
then.
guy, yeah.
Eminem.
Yeah.
Marshall Mathers.
Yeah, those
Art
early
Marshall.
songs.
The-
Get it together.
yeah, my name is.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
his,
but
Slim Shady. That's what I'm
Shady,
looking
But I mean,
for.
like Eminem. I mean, he played himself in like "This Is the End" or whatever. and
No,
he's-
it was The Interview.
Oh, the interview,
Yeah.
and he like pokes fun at himself.
Such a
and-
shame that guy's such a shithead, Franco.
oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because like that scene is really
Yeah.
funny.
He's good. I mean,
I
he's a
think that
good
scene is
actor. He's a
very
funny
funny.
guy.
But-
I don't want to like hang with him.
but Coolio. So Weird Al reached out to the record label, and the label said yes. And he assumed that Coolio. That the
Was
label
Coolio
asked
with it,
Coolio, and they hadn't. So when Coolio heard it, he was not happy, and like, which, I mean, it might be his biggest song, right? Like, so
I think it is his biggest
yeah,
song.
Oh,
so,
absolutely,
and
yeah.
so like I mean, I just know "Eat It" got pretty big.
Oh, you mean Amish? I thought you meant Gangsta's Paradise.
no, yes,
like,
it's
name another
absolutely-
one, Tom.
Yeah. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Get your booty on.
That's
the floor.
true. That is a
Yeah.
Coolio song. That's fair.
But,
Look at you. Good job.
I know things, but
You used to have that hairdo too when
I
you were
did,
back.
when I had hair.
Yeah.
That's why I lost it all. So, but yeah, so like he would not have released that if they had actually asked.
He said
Coolio.
something like the Grammys, right? Like there's like an interview of Coolio where he's like, "Nah, man,
Yeah.
that song sucks," and
Yeah.
like said something.
And I think what it comes down to is there's certain artists that they have certain songs that are and I think that's Eminem's deal. I think "Lose Yourself" because it's autobiographical meant a lot to him, and he was like,
nope.
yeah. But
It just seems like Eminem is a guy that at least nowadays kind of pokes fun at himself. I can't believe he would have never. I don't
see,
know.
if you listen, there's a lot of comedy in his songs, but it's him making fun of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, like
Not making fun
especially
of him.
back then.
And Lose Yourself. I mean, coming off of 8 Mile.
Yeah,
Like that's a pretty heavy song if you listen.
for
not-
sure.
Yeah.
But okay, so one bit of the only thing I'm going to complain about.
Oh, I thought you were going to do a wrestling corner. Thank goodness.
I am.
What? Okay.
So at this award ceremony, right? It's Diana.
Oh,
Ross
Hulk Hogan's-
and
oh
Hulk
my gosh,
Hogan.
there is.
Okay,
Okay.
now for the record, they introduce him as the Intercontinental Champion, Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan has never won the Intercontinental
Oh
Championship.
my God.
Are we gonna really drill down on this movie? for
No,
some
no,
accuracy?
no,
Changing my
not at all.
rating.
Not
This
at all.
movie sucks.
That's the worst. No, but they said that, and I was like, come on.
Played
Was that John
by-
Cena?
Played by James Preston Rogers.
Okay. Initially I was like, it'd be kind of hilarious if they
Right,
got
yeah.
Cena to
Oh, he was in
show up.
Pixels. You would know him from.
I mean, we did cover that movie, but and then so he wins this award, and of course there's all of his friends are in the audience, and he was like, there's so many people I'd want to thank, but I'm going to do that later in person. And of course, Rainn Wilson's like, you mother man, and he's going on and giving this very emotional speech. But there's a guy who sits in the audience holding a Rambo style chain machine gun. And he just kind of says, "I'm waiting for your signal." And of course, now we cut back to Madonna, who has like a scar on her face, and
eye
an
patch.
and she's got a tear in her eye, and she said, "Take the shot." And of course, the guy stands up with this mass in the crowd, and nobody stopped. Of course,
Just
and he
brutally
just-
guns down.
but you don't see it. And then of course, the next it's
They
Weird
do
Al
the
going,
freeze.
"No!"
Yeah.
But that's it. The movie
And
ends.
I turn to my lover, Courtney, I say, if they roll credits right now, that's funny.
Yeah.
And I think I might have even said, but they won't. They never do it. They never do the funny thing. And they did
And
it.
they did it.
And I
And
was
it
like,
says
They
oh,
that
that's-
ended Weird Al's biopic with him being shot down.
Weird Al
Yankovic.
Yankovic was shot and killed
Yeah,
on
was
stage.
assassinated on stage in 1985.
And they do a hilarious, video or photo montage of him
The
growing
credits
up.
are great because they start off with like, oh, there's the real Weird Al. Like, oh, there's him as a
Yeah.
kid. They do the thing where in biopics, like where you've just seen the fake events
Right.
and they show you the real ones. Like, oh, look how close they got it.
Right.
And they start off like, okay, that's close. They look similar. And then they go to all the falsified events and Photoshop Weird Al in.
And the Photoshop
as if-
gets worse and
Yeah.
worse. Because the first couple, I was like, "Wait, is that that's
Oh,
not
yeah.
right?"
But the events get more and more ridiculous, and they're fake in the movie, but it's really Weird Al photoshopped into
Right.
those events, and it's
I
hilarious. And then him getting gunned down on stage is a freeze frame photo. of it.
Yes.
like
And then the last bit is from Carrie. That's what this is from, is when Madonna goes to his grave. And I love the
Oh.
gravestone where it says born whatever and then ate it.
ate it, yeah.
And then she goes to put the flower on the grave, and here
The
comes
hand
Weird
reaches
Al's
out.
hand, which is the end of Carrie. Spoilers for
Oh,
How dare you.
Brian De
Goodness.
Palma's Carrie. This was a
So
joy.
much fun.
It is
I would think the estate of Dimebag Daryl doesn't care for the ending of the film.
probably not. That's a good point. Probably not. Man, that video is terrifying.
Catch me up.
Dimebag-
Oh, because okay, right.
Have you ever seen that video?
No, I didn't know it was out there.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like you see it happen.
I don't know what's happening right
So
now.
Dimebag
Dimebag
Daryl
Daryl was the guitar player
Yeah.
for Pantera, and then he started his. Well, after they broke
It was
up, he
Hell
started
Yeah.
his own band. No, it was.
because it was with the drummer from Pantera, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't the band he was on tour with. It
Oh.
was not Super Joint Ritual, right? That's Phil Anselmo's band.
It was the other guys from Pantera, wasn't it?
No,
without
it was,
Phil.
No, it was just him.
Oh,
And
you're right because
Yeah.
that's why the guy.
because I had done the show, I had like a month prior to it.
Yeah.
And so he was performing, and some crazy guy went up on stage and killed him.
Shot
And there's
live on
a
stage.
video of it. It's like you don't see it happen, but you can see like people rushing towards. Like it's like the camera's like off kilter.
Yeah.
and you can see the guy. It's crazy,
Jeez.
but yeah, the guy killed him because he said he broke up Pantera.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
it wasn't as funny as the Weird Al one.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just stick to this one.
But
yeah.
this is an interesting time of the year because there is nothing coming out in theaters, and we've talked about how in February, what's the dead month that was dead and now it's not anymore.
February.
January was always pretty bad.
But then they put out Paul Blart and it blew up, and they're like, "Hey, this works. Let's just put
Actually,
stuff."
John Wick came out in February, right? That was when,
Actually, the first movie I remember coming out in January and killing it was Ace Ventura.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, now
but like,
I
but
gotta tell you,
modern
It's like a
times.
fluke, right?
I gotta tell
more
you-
of a like that didn't change
Yeah.
things.
that's a movie that I found hilarious when I was that age.
Sure.
Don't like it now.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
it's great until the end, just because the end
It is
plays so
super
mean-spirited
inappropriate.
now.
Super-
But
you-
the whole movie, like,
Where he'd rather have a toilet plunger on his face than a
kiss,
man's lips.
Yeah, exactly. Like the end is not funny at all. But the whole movie before
Just
that,
like you were into it. What are you talking about?
it's crazy that the whole they spend like 7 minutes on it at the end of how disgusted everyone is
When he turns Sean Young around, you're
But
like, what is happening in this movie?
other than the ending that does not hold up, I'm like, I thought it was good because as a kid I didn't pick up on as many of the jokes and everything because
Yeah.
there's more adult humor in it than
Oh,
as
yeah.
a kid you're just like,
Big
ha,
time.
he's talking from his butt.
Billy Madison's the same way. Can't watch it.
Oh really?
Don't
Yeah,
Why
watch
does
it.
Billy
I think
not?
it's, I think it's
I don't think it's
terrible.
funny.
It's not funny at all.
Also, the band was called Damage Plan.
Okay.
And
okay.
Vinnie Paul was also.
I thought, yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so. But it's
Right there with you, Joe.
Thanks, buddy. We talked about it being on Roku, and I feel like since this month especially, there's really not. Black Panther is in a week, but you've had like this weird gap where there's been 3 weeks where there hasn't been anything of note in theaters.
Yeah.
That maybe it would have done okay.
I
Maybe
think
it would have.
I think it could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when's the last comedy that came out? There was just that George Clooney Roberts
Paradise.
thing.
Rom-com,
That's
though, that
kind of a
doesn't really-
different
yeah.
thing.
That like comedy boom is over.
I mean, Bros was the last.
yeah,
one
Bros.
we covered.
yeah.
And it
Bros
tanked
was-
hard.
Yeah, which
But
is
it was
a shame.
also a rom-com.
Yeah,
That's
you
Yeah, I
true,
guess I'm
you're
talking
right,
like
you're right.
broad
Straight up
comedy.
comedy.
Yeah.
They just don't really.
Yeah, there
I
were
mean,
very few broads in that movie.
Oh, yeah, right.
But the comedies are streaming now. That's
Yeah.
the thing. People and if they're in the theater, they go just wait for it to go to streaming.
Yeah.
Like that's people go to the movie theaters for action, for superheroes, for the big stuff,
For
and
spectacle. It costs money,
Yeah.
and you want spectacle.
yeah.
and
But
you
for
were- yeah.
jokes, you on a small screen, jokes work. On a
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah, there was that. I mean, there was that boom from 2004, right? Like that's kind of when still
Hangover was-
no, even before that.
Wedding Crashers.
Wedding
I think
Crashers.
Wedding
is-
Crashers.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Hangover's 2009. The only reason I remember that is because they say it in Bros.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, like that. So like 2004, 2003, because Dodgeball, all that stuff is right around that
Sure.
time. And then The Hangover hits, and then everybody's trying to make that next rated R comedy for like 2012, maybe,
Yeah.
and then it's over.
Yeah.
Like they don't really.
Yeah, streaming is definitely where the comedies seem to show up. But I mean, the thing is that with Roku channel, I feel like no one really watches the Roku channel or whatever. But
I think they did this to get you in to look at
Yeah,
it.
I
I didn't even have it on my smart TV.
I downloaded it too. But I'm
Yeah.
like, what a smart move. Roku, I think, is who bought all the Quibi stuff we talked about.
Yeah,
How they have like
they got
widescreen
the
Quibis.
Reno 911. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a really smart move on Roku's part. It has nothing to say about the quality of the film.
No.
Streaming whatever streaming person has the most money can buy whatever movie,
Yeah.
and they'll sell to the highest bidder at this point because streaming is where most stuff ends up. And
I was surprised when I downloaded the Roku app, put on my TV. I'm like, oh, there's stuff in here.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
is
watch.
there?
Yeah.
And I had like one commercial during it. I had one before it, and I think it stopped one time in the middle of the movies.
Oh, it stopped. It stopped at every break. From
Yeah.
you could look
Really?
if you
Yeah.
look at the bar on my TV anyway. It'd show
that's
you
a
where the commercial
bummer.
breaks were going to be.
Yep.
It stopped, and I'd say there was probably 5 times,
Yeah.
and the most commercials I think we ever got were 3, but a lot of times we got 1, and they were almost. And there was always a Roku promo
Okay.
in there.
Right.
to
I
show,
think it
you know.
depends
But
on
they
what
made
they.
it. They made the break make sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you do that, and,
Oh,
and
right.
like the
Yes.
break is like, well, you're right in the middle
They
of the
were
scene. What are you
very well
doing?
placed. They
Yeah.
were
They
very
weren't.
well placed.
They weren't 4 minutes long like Hulu when you're watching a 22-minute show, and they put 4 minutes of commercials
Can I just get
6
through an
times
episode
through
of
it.
Hannibal, please?
Right, like-
I wouldn't know. I'd pay for the.
Oh,
Yeah.
we went to the Plus or whatever because
Yeah.
it was bad. Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm rich, so
Oh yeah. Oh, you're a big musical artist. That's, living
Well,
in your
we-
mansion with your platinum
this
record.
guy's limo broke down. The rest
Yeah.
is history.
Dun, 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 dun.
Mr. Big from Big
Yeah.
Records.
So anyway, this was great.
This was-
and
this
if
was
you
a lot
haven't
of
seen
fun.
it, you should. I don't think you
No,
can
you
spoil
can't.
this movie. Like there are great
No.
jokes in it, and it's totally worth watching.
We didn't. Yeah, we didn't do it
Yeah.
justice with how. I mean,
For
as
sure.
funny as we said it was.
Well, I did.
like-
I wondered. I was like, I wonder how you talk about a comedy on something like this. And the thing is, you kind of don't. You talk about a bunch of
No.
other stuff,
Right.
and then you
Yeah,
say,
get around. That's why I
Well,
don't think we ever really.
Welcome to Real
Yeah,
Spoilers.
but also we don't
Thanks
really
for
do
listening.
comedies anyway. Because
Yeah.
you're right. It is.
Yeah, because
hard
I always
to-
say comedies are really hard because they're pass fail, right? Like it either made you laugh or it didn't.
Right.
And most comedies don't have other things to really discuss.
Right.
And so yeah.
well, right, like, why you spoil dodgeball at the end, they win. Like, well, that's not really what the movie is.
Right. For sure. But anyway, this was a lot of fun.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff.
So I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21. Also, check out Binge Movies. Jason just posted an episode where we rank 5 vampire films that was put out just in time for Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. This is Kevin. You can follow me on Twitter at KevinRBrackett.
And Matt, where can they find you and your wares?
I live on Cherokee Street.
Okay.
Nope, don't
St.
put that
Louis.
on. I'm
So,
gonna edit that out.
whatever. Come on by. I'm there most of the day. So.
Okay. Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online at Facebook.com/Real Spoilers while you're there. Like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, I forgot to write an outro.
Weird Al didn't-
Dodgeball, they win.
Yeah, see,
Dodgeball,
look
they
at
win.
that.
Dodgeball,
Thanks,
they win. Matt saves the day again.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already